The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how we program the different chips that we use in the quiz lockout products. And I'm going to show in general how you select the certain chip that is the certain program that's used for a particular product, and then I'll walk us through exactly what steps you follow to program these chips. This is a super essential step in manufacturing our products, and this video should cover all the details. Just all of the details are important, and follow this and you should be okay. First step is to log into the computer. And we will go ahead and minimize everything here. Okay. Now what we do, we use the exact same chip, this chip right here, we use the exact same chip in all of our products, whether it's a timer, 10-player, traditional, every single product uses the exact same chip. Now the chip as you see it right here, when it comes from the factory, is just like a blank, it's like a blank disk. It has no information on it. And what we need to do is put the program for a particular application on this chip. And this is how this works. On our screen here, I have a Word file called production software. That's right here. Let's see if I can highlight it. See where you see the ring around it right there. I call it production software. It's a Word document. Double click on it. Okay, let's go ahead and get this to where it's a little bit. There we go. This is the production software. And this is just page after page of products. This starts off with it starts from the smallest product and goes to the largest product. We have the Family Feud, that's the 2-player, the Game Show 2-player and 3-player and 4-player. Hopefully you can that there and there. And then we have, go to the next page, we have the Quiztron, the 4-in-1, the 10-player, the traditional, and you can kind of see the who's next. You can kind of see all of these different products. The Kurtaman, the old 1, 2, 3, which is obsolete, the standard deluxe, we call it the yellow cord lineup system. That's our new chain link system. This is an obsolete quick link system. And then this is the timer, and this is the match timer. And that's the end of the file. Okay, now like I just told you, this is called production software, and it has what's called a hot link that goes to each one of these programs. And basically by clicking over here, and what I've done is I've made the green field, see how this is green here, it is the field for the active program. Now I'm going to scroll down here just for a second to, this is a good example here, the 4-in-1. There's one here. There's a version here, there's a version here, and there's a version here. The one that's green is the active version. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to step through the steps required to program a 10-player chip. Now again, what I'm going to do is I scroll down until I saw the name of the product, which is 10-player, and then this green thing right here is how I get to the program that programs the chip. Now what we have to do, if you mouse over this, you see right here, if you put the mouse over this blue line, this link, it will tell you you have to press Control and then click. So let's press Control and then click. And then it says that opening it could cause damage. Well, that's just a general warning. We're going to ignore it because we know it's safe. So we click OK. This is a very important program. This is the program where we develop programs for these chips, for our products, and it's also where we program. Now, what we need to do after we've opened up the program, we are ready to program, but we have to connect the programmer, the computer here, to the programmer of the chips. Now, the programmer of the chips is right down here underneath the table. I keep it covered up to keep it dust protected. And it's plugged into a USB port on the PC. There's a switch right here, and we just have to flip that switch, and then this screen light will come on. Let's recap what we just did. We just pulled out the programmer, we flipped the switch, turned it on, the screen came up. We're not connected yet. Now, back to the PC. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Programmer, see where it says Programmer. Single click Programmer, come down to the word here that says Enable Programmer. It's going to say, do you want to update? Say no. So click on No. Now, when this dialog comes up right here, that means that the computer is ready to communicate with the programmer down here. Now what we have to do, again, remember, bear in mind, this is a complicated process. We're going to go ahead and remove the chips from the tube. I use a Sharpie since it's got a big flat tip at the end, and I push the little black clip out like this, and then I pour the chips out on the table like this. I usually put them in like a stack of 5. It doesn't really matter, but I put them in a stack of 5, just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to program these chips. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and set the chips over here on top of the programmer. Again, I'm just telling you how I do it. You can do it any way you want, but I want you to see the fundamentals. Now, the computer, as we've seen up here, it's communicating with this box. It's actually ready to program here in a few seconds. Now what we have to do before we program is we have to stick one of these chips into the programmer. Now this, I hope we can see this. Tell me if the reflection, can you see the reflection on the top of the chip? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the chip has a little hole there's a right way and a wrong way. There's a pin one side and then the other side. The pin one side is demarked by this little dot down here next to pin 1, and it has what I call a divot on this corner. This one's flat, this one has a little dent in it. The dent is the magic thing. Dent goes up. Okay? So when we put this in down here, there's even a note here on the board, on this board here. It has a little 1 symbol. That means pin 1 has to be up toward this side. So with this little handle up, the chip falls right into the slot. Oh, I didn't get it right the first time. Falls into the slot, push the handle down, and the little pin grabbers grab all the pins. Okay, now what we're going to do is right up here, now we're ready to program. So now, you can see right here, there's a little thing, it's a little yellow symbol showing an arrow going down to a chip. It's the one in the middle of this range right here. And you can see when I mouse over that, it says the word program. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on program. Just click it. And this down here tells us that it's doing something. It's programming. And this message right here says that the program was successful. So what we do, this chip is now ready to be used in a 10-player. So we raise the little bar back up. That opens up the little grabbers for each one of the little feet, or each one of the little pins. We take the chip out, and just slide it right back into the tube. And we're going to do that again. Now I'm going to talk through it again. Pick up the chip. I rub my finger across the top of the chip and make sure I can feel that little dent. The dent goes near the little handle. Push it down. Now I come back up here to that same place on the screen. Program. Single click. This little bar right here tells us that it's in the process of shooting the code down to the chip. Program was successful. Then I come down here, I raise this up to release the chip and slide it into the tube. I'm going to do it one more time. Take the chip, feel to make sure that I have the dent. Dent goes toward the handle. So set it in there, make sure, oops, now see I missed. Make sure it sits in there nice and flat into the socket. Push the little handle down, and then come back up here. And the little ring, I'm just causing the little ring to occur right there on the word program. Program. And this little status bar tells us that the program is going into the chip. Now what I do after I'm finished with that is, since these are 10 players, it's very, very, very important that after these are programmed, that these chips are only used in a 10-player application. So I'll take my Sharpie, and I will write for this one, since it's a 10-player, I will go ahead and write 10-player on a little post-it note, and I'll put today's date. like this. Okay, not a big deal, but the important thing is that when the person that's putting this together and actually using the chip in a product, they've got to know what kind of chip it is. They mustn't get mixed up. That's actually kind of important. And then I put it on the chip tube like this, and this is after it's full of chips, and I take that same little black pin, that's this one right here, that I popped out initially, and I just poke it through one of the holes. Hopefully you can see the reflection on the plastic tube. There's a little hole right here. Just put this over the hole and then just plug it in like this. And now those chips are locked in there, and you have all those chips ready to take over and plug into a unit that needs to be programmed. Just a quick recap, what we need to do is we need to open up this program right here called Production Software, and I keep it on my desktop, but it's also stored in it's stored in a design directory. But we open up this program right here, and I'll go ahead and pop it open, and when we do that, it pops it open, and then you need to scroll through. You need to find the product that you want to make chips for. For example, if you wanted to make trads, traditional controllers, then you would come to this section right here for the trad, the traditional, and then when you mouse over it, it gives you a nice reminder that you need to press Control while you click on it, and then that will invoke that program that will bring up the programmer for that chip. Let's see if there's anything else that needs to be known about programming. No, that's really all there is to it. And if you get an error, let me talk about that for a second. Let's say that you get an error. Let's see, this one is programmed, so I'm going to go ahead and give me just a second. I'm going to go ahead and cause an error to occur, and you can see what happens. I've programmed this chip that I just put in here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. You can see that this demonstration was not rehearsed. I'm going to take a chip, but I'm not going to plug it in, and then I'm going to go ahead and tell the programmer to program. Okay, it says that it was able to read the device, so it couldn't program. Now I'm going to try, I don't know if I can get this to work or not. I'm going to try and program this without getting all the pins in. Let's see if this works. Yeah, let's see. It is possible. Okay, I can't demonstrate it. Here's what I was trying to demonstrate. What you see here is it said it was unable to read the device. What the programmer does before it attempts to program is it goes out and makes sure that the chip that you put in here is the correct type of chip, so that it basically is communicating with the chip. It asks if you're the right chip, and then if it is the right chip, then it will go ahead and send the program. And that's what will happen right here. Now, if it came back and said that there was an error, here's my recommendation. We've got two things. Let's not reject the chip right away. There's a possibility there's a problem with the chip, but let's try two things. Let's go ahead and bring the camera down here. What we're going to do is we're going to assume that there's 40 little pins here, and there's a chance that one of those pins isn't being grabbed just right by the programmer. It happens once in a while. So what I do is I wiggle the chip around just sideways just to make sure it's nice and installed correctly. Then I push the handle back down, and I click program again. Most of the time, that will solve the problem. And I will try that a couple of times, and I'll even take the chip out. I'll make sure that none of the pins are bent, and I'll put it back in. And then once it says that it's good, then go ahead and put it into the tube. If you try 2 or 3 times and it keeps coming back with different types of errors, how do you know if it's an error? If it doesn't say program succeeded, can you see right here at the bottom, or at the bottom of the screen? If it doesn't say program succeeded, that means that the chip is not going to work when you plug it into a product. So then if it gets to that point and it just doesn't work, set that chip aside, go to the next chip. Let's hope that it's not a problem with the programmer. If it is a problem with the programmer, I've never had this happen before, but what I would do is, that's the part I need to show you next, is how to shut down. Hold on just a second. Here's how we shut down. We come over here, just like we shut down any program, and we just click on the X for close. Do you wish to save the workspace before closing? You can go ahead and you can say yes or no. We're going to go ahead and say no. And then this is just a Word file. So we just kill it like a regular Word file. Just hit the X. And then you're finished. And then when you're totally finished, click the switch off right here and turn off the programmer, and then put the dust cover back over here. Keep dust off of it, keep it out of the way, don't let any water fall on it. This is a production item. You can still purchase these if necessary. It is a little bit of a trick to make these work in conjunction with a PC. I've tested it with Windows 10, and it does work with Windows 10. It works with Windows 7 on this machine. It was a little bit of a trick to make it work with Windows 7. These are actually kind of strange to work with. Just know this: if you have to use it with Windows 10, it will work. If you can possibly make it work with my Windows 7 machine, that would be ideal. Okay, that's basically it.